You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken Tech for your ears.
All right, let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today it's our Tech Tuesdays session, and we are diving into the world of DevOps. We've gathered some, I think, really interesting insights, stuff from, the surprising costs behind tech we often think of as free, to some cool new tools and key operational tweaks. The goal, like always, is to cut through the noise and get you straight to what matters, give you that practical edge.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting is how these pieces connect. We'll look at how all this impacts efficiency, development, even compliance, trying to find those aha moments for you without the usual overload.
Okay, so starting with costs. We often hear about free open source tech, right? But what's the real story with something like, say, adopting a Kubernetes platform?
Yeah, the free part can be misleading. Our findings show pretty clearly that it's not the infrastructure, it's the labor that's the major cost. We're talking up to 70% of the total spend.
70%, wow.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Even one cluster, nothing too demanding, no strict SLA, that can still cost over $90,000 in the first year.
90,000.
Yeah.
Just to get started, basically.
Right. And if you scale that up to enterprise level, you could be looking at over $675,000 a year. And chasing those extra nines of uptime, 99.9 versus 99, for example, each 9 can add another 20–30% to your costs. It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Suddenly, tools that simplify things for developers look way more valuable than just shaving off a bit of compute costs.
Okay, so those costs are definitely substantial. What are companies actually doing to, manage that? How do you bring those numbers down?
Well, Imagine Learning's story with Linkerd is a great example here. They put Linkerd onto their AWS EKS setup.
Right, Amazon's Kubernetes service.
Exactly. They used it to secure and, importantly, simplify hundreds of microservices. And the results were pretty impressive.
How impressive.
Operational overhead dropped by 20%. Service mesh compute needs down over 80%. And network costs cut by 40%.
80% on compute, that's huge.
It is. It shows that it's not just about the tool itself, but about simplifying that whole microservice orchestration. Good automation there really, really pays dividends in ops and networking savings.
That makes a lot of sense. So moving from saving money to new shiny things, what's fresh on the horizon for developers and engineers? What should be on our radar?
Well, Kubernetes 1.34 just landed. It's got 10 new alpha features.
Okay, what stands out?
Things like better support for specialized hardware, GPUs specifically, with something called dynamic resource allocation, basically smarter ways to divvy up those powerful resources for AML workloads, plus improvements in YAML config and making secure certificate delivery easier with pod certificate requests, little things that add up.
And what about for the Go developers out there? I know we have a few listeners,
Yeah.
myself included. Anything in Go 1.25?
Oh, yeah, Go 1.25 has some nice updates, like container-aware GeoMax ProCS.
So it plays nicer in containers automatically.
Oh, exactly. Less manual fiddling, hopefully. There's also an experimental high-performance garbage collector they're trying out, and a new testing package, Testing Synctest.
Sounds useful, but keeping up with some of the more complex stuff like distributed tracing, it can feel a bit daunting. Are there better ways to learn that stuff? Maybe even make it fun.
Actually, yes. Grafana Labs did something pretty cool here. They built a grand strategy game called Game of Traces.
Wait, a game to learn open telemetry tracing?
Yeah, seriously. The game elements like armies or cities or whatever are represented as services instrumented with OTel, and it uses the LGTM stack Loki, Grafana, Tempo, Mimir to track all the interactions. So you're literally learning by playing, seeing how traces flow and what they mean in a, tangible context.
That's actually brilliant. Learning by strategizing. Okay, so beyond new tools and learning, let's pivot a bit. What about operational control and the ever-present compliance headache?
Right. Well, AWS Config, for instance, offers smarter ways to handle recording frequencies. You can choose continuous versus periodic recording.
To balance cost and visibility.
Exactly. Tailor it to how different resources behave and what your compliance actually requires without breaking the bank. And speaking of compliance, Google Cloud's working on speeding up FedRAMP authorization.
FedRAMP, that's the U.S. government cloud security standard, right? Big deal for many companies.
Huge deal. Their new compliance manager tool aims to automate it significantly, like 20x faster, using machine-readable evidence and continuous checks, streamlining a notoriously complex process.
And sometimes it's the really small details in system behavior that trip you up, isn't it? The things you don't expect.
Oh, absolutely. Like this finding called Not So Direct I/O. It's a reminder about using Read 2 with ODirect.
Direct I/O bypassing the cache.
Right. But even if you do everything right, 4K B-aligned reads, you might still get back fewer than 4096 bytes.
Why is that?
If the file's logical end happens to be in the middle of a sector you're reading, it's a bit obscure maybe, but applications need to handle these short reads robustly. Otherwise, you risk data corruption or weird issues.
Ah, okay. The devil really is in the details there. And related to managing complexity, what about refining our workflows, making those deployment processes clearer?
Yeah, Octopus Deploy has actually done a complete redesign of their process editor for that very reason.
Oh, what's new?
Things like clearer ways to group steps, views you can collapse to hide detail, just a generally cleaner interface. It's all about giving users better control and making complex deployments feel, well, less complex and chaotic.
So bringing this all together, we've covered quite a bit today here on The Vocal Technologist. Surprising costs, some neat new tools, better ways to learn, and crucial operational controls.
Yeah, it really underscores, I think, how we constantly need to be optimizing, yes, but also learning from these sometimes subtle details and just being really aware of what's going on under the hood in our systems.
Definitely. So here's something for you, our listener, to think about. How might really digging into those hidden costs, the labor, the operational complexity, not just the sticker price, how might that fundamentally change how you approach your next big architectural decision? Where's your team's time really being spent?
Spoken Tech for your ears.